a lot to.
Yeah, so I'm so psyched. Thank you for your time, Carrie. I'm so thrilled that you're here. I'm so thrilled that you're going to be part of a Wake Festival coming up this September 16th through 18th in Evergreen. And I always start these calls the same way. I just want to hear what you're most lit up about these days. I love starting that way because we're always in a different place, right? And you do so much with the Reiki Healing Society, and I just know you do so much, and we got to let people know what you do. But right now, what's like most exciting for you, or what are you sharing with people the most these days?
Yeah, well, thank you, Eric. And I just want to say also, thanks so much for creating this Awake Festival and giving us all an opportunity to get together in community for a beautiful weekend. I'm sure it promises to be a beautiful and fun weekend in Evergreen.
Well, we did move it this year 2 weeks earlier. So last year it got a little chilly in October.
I see.
We did it early October. This year I got the venue September 16th through 18th. And I've lived in Evergreen for a long time, and it is gorgeous that time of year. The odds are the weather will be great. And we'll even have some trees changing colors sometimes. And it's at night, it's going to be, it won't be as cold as usual as it is in October, but it will be crisp. So we do have camping this year. So I'm telling everyone to bring their cozy sleeping bags, and we're going to have a nice cozy campground area, which is new this year. So.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
It's going to be an awesome weekend, a super fun weekend, I'm sure, and also a very potent weekend as we come together and explore some amazing teachings and have some great classes and just breathe together. So I'm really looking
I notice a lot of people logging in right now, and it reminded me that, do you have a connection to Colorado?
I do, yeah. So I lived in Colorado for my whole life. I was born and raised in Fort Collins, and went to CU Boulder for my undergraduate, and then moved to Denver and lived in Denver for 15 years. And Denver was where I've taught in Reiki and yoga for many years. And about 3 years ago, this is one of the things that I'm lit up about. One of the many things. A lot of things light me up, Eric. But 3 years ago, I moved to Northern California, and I moved to this tiny little town. It's about 300 people. It's built up right on the coast, and it overlooks Trinidad Harbor. And so twice a year, whales come through the harbor, and in the springtime, their migration is really dramatic. They bring their little baby calves with them, and they stay really close to the shore. So they take their baby calves up to Alaska. And so this last year I led a yoga and Reiki retreat to my tiny little town over Earth Day weekend. And we got to get super inspired by the beautiful nature that's around me, but also just a stone's throw away is Redwood State National Parks, and the redwoods are the tallest trees in the world. So I had the amazing privilege on Earth Day to take all of my retreat goers through a hike through the Redwood State National Park, and just have our minds blown by these incredibly gorgeous, awesome trees, and be in nature, and then also do this really profound healing that can arise when we do Reiki and when we do yoga and movement exercises. So, and be together in community, which is, obviously something since the pandemic we haven't had too much of. And so anytime I have in community, I know it's really sweet.
So I am so curious about your view of nature and its ability to heal, because at Awake, we have a monthly deep dive where we have a day-long retreat, and that leads up to the big weekend-long festival. And the last one we did was with Dr. Heidi Saltzman, and she's one of the teachers at the festival as well. And I kept waiting for her all day to do something like, and like for something big to happen, And all she did really all day mainly was give us permission to calm down and to be in the grass and to explore the forest. We made a beautiful earth mandala and floated it down the river. And I'll tell you, we did some mindful movement, but it wasn't like, there was no like rules. There wasn't much like you have to move this way. It was permission, permission, permission. And I swear, like halfway through the day, I felt so embodied. And I think the vibration of our crazy world of busyness has a vibration, and I'm sure now that Earth has a vibration.
Mhm.
And I felt I took on that Earth vibration, and it seemed like everyone had the same experience. So it sounds like when you talk about the whales and the redwoods, they have that energy up there. I have been up there. What do you
Absolutely.
think of nature, in its healing properties?
Yeah, well, I think nature is really at the core of my spiritual practice, is getting more connected to nature and feeling more embodied, like you mentioned. And we could get really geeky about it, Eric. We could get super geeky about it. But what a million words can say about it is what something that you already described, is that there's this busyness and this energy of life, like especially when we're on our screens all the time, and it's so easy to be disconnected from nature. But nature is incredibly harmonizing. So when we can take time to step out of our busyness, or when we feel overwhelmed, and just step into nature's beauty and like see the trees and feel their rootedness and their steadiness, or when we're feeling stuck, to go be near water and feel that flow. This harmonizes us and connects us to our true nature. And one of the teachings of Reiki, and there's also a parallel of teachings from yoga, because a lot of the philosophies of both yoga and Reiki come from the same source. But the idea is that we are nature.
We are nature.
We are nature. We're not disconnected. Our bodies come from the universe, and everything around us is an expression of life and life force energy. And the founder of Reiki, he had this really immense spiritual awakening happening about 100 years ago, and he was meditating on a mountain in Japan. And in that meditation, he realized, I am the universe is me.
Mm.
And he was able to lose the disconnect that we often have in our modern life, and just life in general. We have a disconnect to ourselves, like who we really are, like our true nature. We have a disconnect to each other, because we live in our houses and boxes, and everything's so separated. Which is different than how the whales migrate. They move together, they move in community. But we also have a disconnect to the planet, and we can obviously see that through the global warming that's happening right now. So Reiki and yoga are both really powerful medicines to help us heal that disconnect.
Can
And
I
one of the
pop in
ways,
there for a sec?
yeah, go for it.
I'm just excited about the word harmonizing and reconnection,
Yes.
because I think when I first came to spiritual practices, I've been at this a while, but I thought yoga was a doing. And I thought if you went to Reiki, they were doing something to you, and I've come to feel more into like being. But when you say harmonizing and reconnecting, it just sounds so much easier. It's like if I go to a field in nature and I just relax there and be there and breathe there, I don't have to do much. And it actually sounds really nice. Or the Reiki master who does certain things to move energy, say, it's never getting me to a place that's different. It's just kind of getting rid of all the shit or the confusion or the energy that was all whacked out, it seems to me. And
Yes.
when I look at it through that lens, it just seems so much nicer. Like I want our festival to just be like a place where we just tune into what's already natural. We don't have to create some good state. We are a good state. We are an okay state, you
Yes.
know? So I
Yeah.
just wanted to throw that in. Thank you.
Yeah, no, so I mean, it's so important to just remember that who we are is innate, and I think it is a really important distinction to remember that on the spiritual path, that you're not going to become something better, or
Yes.
bigger, or transcend all of your limitations. Like, all of the things that make you are still going to be there. Your wounds still going to be there, but
Mhm.
that what you get to be is the you inside of that. And I think that that's really, really profound medicine. But
Yeah, because I could see the mistake happening if you think you need to become better, you could easily forget your Buddha nature, they call it in my lineage. You could easily forget that you're already okay. It's just that you've been caught up in a confusing matrix.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yeah. Get caught up
And
in.
when I think what I heard you say is when we do get caught up in that and pulled away from our harmonized, tuned in truth, that's when the planet gets in trouble. That's when all the do you agree that's true? That's when kind of all the problems happen, is just because of disconnection. Because I think when we're connected in here, I don't think much can go wrong, because we're going to love each other. We're going to eat properly. We're going to be kind. We're going to share. We're not going to overconsume. Like, I mean, I think we're talking about something really deep when we talk about just harmonizing and reconnecting to here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the world, I firmly believe that we're going to be okay, but
Mhm.
I think we also, to find that center, is to maybe step away from the places that are toxic or the things that are causing us disharmony. And, that can be a really complex conundrum of our modern life. Maybe it's something to do with the food we eat, if it doesn't feel balanced for you, or with our lifestyle choices too,
When
and
I'm
one of,
tuned in, I know what to eat.
yeah,
That's such a great example. I eat things that aren't good for me. I might even get fast food, I'll admit, sometimes if I'm really disconnected from here.
yes. And
But
then
when
when
I
you're,
am here, I heard from Ayurveda and these other teachings, you can learn to you will always have the wisdom of what to put in your face and eat.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And I think what's hard too is that when we lose the disconnect to each other, it's like I can make the healthiest choices, the most environmental choices, Eric, that I possibly can. And I do make those choices because, caring for the environment is a big part of my core values. But the challenge there is that I can only do so much. And when we actually team up and link arms, we can do a lot more together. And so one of the things that the Reiki Healing Society is trying to do, I'm trying to inspire other healing art practitioners and Reiki practitioners to donate $1 for every Reiki session that they provide to the World Wildlife Fund.
Mm.
And so I do that anytime I give a Reiki session. I just, as like kind of good karma. It actually comes from some time I spent in India, where if you've been to India, you know that there's this kind of culture of caring for people who are worse off than you. And so if people are homeless or begging, if you have an extra rupee, you just give it, and that's your karma. And so that's kind of the idea, is just to give that extra dollar towards something that's bigger than you or me, but meaningful for the planet.
Mm.
The idea is to symbolically adopt a wild animal on the verge of extinction. And I believe that when we can link arms and do things together in community, we can make a big wave towards a world we believe in. And so that's another thing that lights me up, Eric.
So if I'm getting it right, we can all do our own work to harmonize and get to a vibration that is peaceful. And then from that place, what you said about generosity, I think it would just be natural, because I feel in that place, you just have empathy and compassion. You have less judgment about other people. Like, you would never think that person's homeless because of some political thing or some, you would just feel in your heart, you give that money. Like you said, in India, it's just generosity is part of the culture. But but we can if we have to get other people in on that vibe too. And is that what you mean by linking arms?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I could donate $1 for every Reiki session I provide, and at the end of the year, I might be able to donate $200 to the World Wildlife Fund, which I think is significant. But if you really think about what the World Wildlife needs, to protect habitat for wild tigers, for example, $200 isn't going to take them really very far, right? But so not only is there this opportunity for us to, or for me to, highlight the work of World Wildlife Fund, which is something I'm really passionate about. but also just give people opportunity to just give something simple, something small, or work with other Reiki practitioners who might feel the same way, a little bit about and passionate about the environment, but want to do something, but don't have the resources, don't have a whole lot of opportunity or money or resources to give back. But, if we can link our arms is what I'm meaning, is just like, let's do this together. And if,
Mm.
let's say, 5 Reiki practitioners join me in this pledge, at the end of the year, we could give $1,000, which is like a lot more, right, towards
Right.
towards a cause that's important. And I know I'm not the only one who cares about that kind of cause. So
Right.
that's something
What?
that I just think that I think, is that disconnect to each other, because, we can do our best from that harmonized place to live our life in the best way possible. But sometimes, social justice, environmental justice requires us to really stand up for the causes we believe in, and to heal the disconnect means coming together around shared values.
Mm. And it sounds like you're also giving fellow Reiki practitioners, not only obviously it's wonderful to save wildlife, but also you're giving us the chance to practice generosity, which is the opposite of clinging and keeping for yourself. And that makes us suffer. So on my Buddhist path, I learned a lot about that. It's just a habit. You
Mhm.
just, the more you can practice giving of your time, of your money, it's just better for you too. The Dalai Lama called it enlightened self-interest. That's what it was. Like by being generous and helping someone else, you're actually helping yourself. And I love that. So you're giving that opportunity to a bunch of Reiki folks.
Exactly, and make it easy for us, because it's not easy to do the work, and to like, oh, be like, oh, I need to donate at the quarterly or at the end of the month or whatever. And so I just try to make it easy for people, because I'm already doing that. And I think at my efforts, if I can find more people to share my efforts, and do it together, that it makes the load really light, and it makes it more meaningful as well.
Cool. So I'm wondering, we have about 10 minutes, and if you could give people something that they could do to soothe their own heart in this moment, is there anything? I know you can go get Reiki and be such a wonderful feeling afterwards. But is
Mhm.
there anything that you like to share with people that they can do in this moment or on their own to just
Mhm.
soothe their heart, in this culture is so busy, so stressed sometimes.
Right. Um, so one of the practices I could share from traditional Japanese Reiki is this idea of the 3 diamonds, which is kind of a simplification of the chakras, in the sense that the 3 diamonds are like 3 energy centers in your belly, so below the navel, and then in the head, and then the heart. And from Japanese cosmology, the idea is that at the creation of the universe, an egg cracked open.
Mhm.
And in that egg, some of the matter that was inside, that spiritual energy that was inside the egg, settled down and became the earth. And some of the energy went up to the heavens and became the sky.
Mhm.
And that the heart is the mixture of earth and sky. And so I think in order to harmonize the heart, an exercise that I think is really useful is to start at the belly, and you can bring your hands there below your navel. And like, you can't see my belly, but like if your hands are on your belly, like this feeling as you breathe in, you could expand the hands a little bit.
Is that called the dantian
It's,
in
yes,
some traditions?
some
Okay,
traditions. I think the
below
Chinese,
the belly button.
the Dantian, yes.
Okay, I'm doing it.
Yeah. And so you can close your eyes, and just so with the breath in, you can feel the breath flow through the nostrils, down the windpipe into the belly, and feel this just general sense of expansiveness down into the belly. And maybe the hands move a little bit away from the body. And then the trick here is not to lose that expansiveness, but keep that feeling of expansion. But as you exhale, the hands come back towards the belly. But you and your energy just keeps radiating outwards. And you can just follow the pathway of the breath, follow the breath into the body, feeling the belly. And exhale, just continue to expand out your bright light out. And as we do this, hopefully we feel a little bit more of that connection to the earth underneath us. Maybe the home where we live in or wherever we're at in our office space. Feeling that as like a sacred grounding point. Then you can just keep one hand on the belly below the navel and bring the other hand, whatever hand feels more intuitive, up to your eyebrows. And with the sense that you are grounded, you are safe, just opening the mind, allowing the mind to relax, and to just feel the sky, feel the atmosphere, the clouds, the sun. Feel the prana like a halo around the earth. So sometimes, if we're too grounded, we feel stuck. And if we're too much in our head, we feel ungrounded and caught up in all of these waves of thought. That sense of inner harmonization, mining for a feeling of grounded upliftedness. And I think that sets the tone to come into the heart. And so you can keep that hand on your brow if you want, and then the bottom hand to your heart, or maybe both hands want to come to the heart. So feeling for this mixture of earth and sky in our heart. I think one of the challenges for me as a Reiki practitioner, as a yoga teacher, as somebody who tries to live from a place of an open heart, is that the heart can get overburdened. It can feel really heavy with all the things happening in the world, with our own personal stories and wounds. And so what feels for me very healing for the heart is to feel earth and sky as the container that holds the heart. And then in that container, there's a little bit more balance so that when we're really grounded, we can lose some, hopefully lose some of that like over emotional energy that the heart can contain. And so when we're just feeling super overwhelmed, over emotional, I always suggest coming back down to that lower center, the dantian. So let's just take a few more breaths here. If you're following along, thanks for joining us. Maybe before you depart this meditative space, you can set an intention or send out a wish. Once you're ready, open your eyes. Come back.
Thank you for the 3 diamonds practice, Carrie. Did I say it right? 3 diamonds?
3 diamonds, yes.
Great. What I loved about that, I felt very here, but I also felt completely expanded. So I felt in balance. And then when you said the part about our hearts feeling like overburdened sometimes, I could see how sometimes I try to ground too much. Maybe I like let it go to both places. It's like my heart could ground, but it could also expand in that big safety of limitlessness. Wow,
Yeah,
that is a powerful practice in just a few minutes.
great. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. It was a real eye opener for me because, like I said, like trying to live from your heart all the time, it can be really hard um and it overwhelming. And actually a lot of times we need to live like kind of like a pyramid, like the foundation. So much of our life is about getting our needs met. And so like staying strong at our foundation, feeling grounded, I think helps support, the heart's higher quality.
Great. And I didn't manage our time well. I have like a minute. So I was wondering in a minute, a one sentence definition of Reiki, and then the one biggest takeaway people will get from practicing Reiki with you at Awake.
Okay, one sentence definition of Reiki's universal energy. And at Awake, I'm going to be talking about how to use yoga practices like the chakras and traditional Reiki practices to help balance our energy, harmonize our energy, and like we've been discussing, like heal the disconnect we have first to ourselves, to each other, and to the planet. And yeah, I think
So
all of them.
if you come into Awake, like many of us, just from the busyness of life, feeling disconnected, what people will mainly take away is a feeling of connectedness, maybe.
I hope so. I mean,
Yeah.
and it can be unique for anyone. That's what's cool about Reiki is Eric might need connection and somebody else might need grounding, and
Mm.
the energy is just going to shift depending on what that person needs, what's best for them. So
I get it. So how perfect. So anyone who comes and goes to your Reiki workshop or visits you at your booth, they will receive what I'm hearing is exactly what they need.
yep.
I feel like that's a great place to wrap up.
Yes.
So we'll see you September 16th through 18th, Carrie, at Awake Festival here in beautiful Evergreen. And thank you for planning to travel out here and be with us. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely. Oh, and I wanted to mention one more thing too, as I'll be at the vendor village and I'm going to be selling my handcrafted malas, and I put a lot of love, light, Reiki energy into those too. So come visit me in the vendor village or come to any of my talks, and just can't wait to be with you all and have a great weekend. And thanks again, Eric, for organizing the whole event. I know it's a lot of work, but I know it's going to be so meaningful to all of us. So.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Carrie. We'll see you in a couple months.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, bye.
Bye.